to move on to, the thing on everybody's lips, the Bitcoin Treasury. How exciting! Um,
Yeah.
so obviously, GameStop issued convertible notes amounting to $1.3 billion with the contingency for 200 million more if the original purchasers wanted them to be sold outside of the United States, so to some international investors. And then at the Bitcoin conference, Ryan Cohen announced the purchase of 4,710 Bitcoins with no purchase date or cost, interestingly.
Yeah.
So people had obviously thought that there was a chance they would just splurge the whole 6 billion, right? And I was one of those people who thought that was maybe a possibility. I mean, it doesn't seem like a fantastically clever business move, maybe. Or maybe it does seem like a very clever business move. Depends what your perspective is. Why do you think they chose to invest in a Bitcoin reserve? Why do you think they only invested somewhere in the range of 4 to 500 million, given that they're sitting on billions, and they raised 1.3 billion specifically for the purpose of purchasing Bitcoin for a Bitcoin treasury? And do you think there was more purchases to come?
Um, so, well, let's get with, let's start from the start. Let's start from the start. So the first thing would be, why is it bought only 400 million, right? If they bought at 75 or something, right?
Yeah.
So I'd say because Ryan is a bit conservative, and he aims to improve GameStop through operations alone. So maybe he's thinking of using the rest of the money for acquisitions. And in my opinion, they could have just used the whole thing, so 1.5 billion or maybe even 2 billion, about like 30%. So the rest would be used for, generating incomes through interest. Okay, let's say like 30%, 20%, and like 40% would be used for acquisitions. So that would be kind of a smarter move, right? And I'm not sure if Ryan knew a lot about Bitcoin before, if he's skeptical about crypto or not. If it started to improve when he met Michael Saylor, but I'd say that he's a bit conservative, and that is the reason why he bought only 400 million. And again, we don't know when he did that. So let's imagine that the cycle is left translated. So Bitcoin will not go up and it's going to go down, right? It's going to be a big problem, for example, if they have invested all of that. And the second thing is that if they have invested all 6 billion, that was at the moment their reason why they are surviving. That's the way that they're earning money from the interest, right? So if they invested that, they basically had no money, and they would start losing it because if I remember correctly, it's minus 20 million. So they're losing every year about, well, it improves year by year, but last year it was minus 20 million. So that money has to come somewhere.
Hmm.
And you also asked a couple more questions. I forgot them. Could you repeat that?
Yes, sorry. So, why? Yeah, so we had why would they purchase it, and then we've got to why was there such a small amount, and question number 3 was, will there be more purchases in the future? Do you think this is a dollar cost average sort of strategy he's attempting to do?
So why they purchased it is because their business is, as I said, there's no growth potential. So if they will grow, it's basically just improving margins, etc. So they have to find some kind of a way to create shareholder value, and that would be either acquiring some companies or doing what MicroStrategy did, so buying Bitcoin. So, or maybe even all combined. So that would be a primary reason. And will they buy more? I absolutely think that they will. And I made a conservative projections that if they announce the convertible notes offering every year for 1.5 billion, right? And they bought about, say, at the middle of the power law, which is a predictive model for Bitcoin, and it follows it. So if they bought at the middle of that, then they would have about 66,000 Bitcoin, and that would be valued by 2032, depending on the price, from 500,000 to 1.5 million. That would be a huge amount of money. And and this is conservative, okay? So they can announce more convertible notes. They can do something like Saylor did, 42 billion. Like, we don't know that. So, but if we go through a conservative way, from a conservative point of view, I'd say that there's an opportunity that they will buy more.
Do you really believe that there is no upward growth potential on the current business? So you think that the only way that the business grows substantially is through diversification?
Yeah, absolutely. The reasoning behind this is that they're closing down stores, and they have already closed more than 55%. So how are you going to increase sales in those stores if people are basically buying everything the same way, right? It's not like you're going to find some kind of new people. You basically have I'm blabbering some kind of bullshit right now. The logic behind this is that they did the most they could at the moment. And the only things that they can do is diversify into some other area. And this is why they diversified into collectibles. This is why they're doing that. And this is why, for example, they went away from software and started to focus on hardware more, because software represented about 60 to 70% of their revenue before. And as I pointed in the report, people started buying digitally 96% of the time. And 4% is only about, or I think 7% is about that. I think that would be physical. So they improved their website to turn into more of a rather than brick and mortar, to an online e-commerce business, right? And Ryan had huge success in that because he had experience building that kind of website, and also he built Chewy, and brought it to 3.5 billion. That would be basically all that it can do. And as I said, there's only two ways at the moment. It's either three, I would say: improving margins, acquiring some kind of a company, let's say Newegg or something like that. And the third point would be Bitcoin. So if they do all three combined, it's going to be an insane opportunity.
Yeah, well, here's hoping. What sort of companies would you say they decided to go with, like a mergers and acquisition sort of strategy going forwards? What sort of companies would you see him buying? Obviously, there was the Bed Bath & Beyond thing that happened 2 years ago.
The baby from the mayor.
Yeah. And it seems like he went in with the hope to turn it around, but they weren't. The board wasn't really open to enough radical change.
Yeah.
At which point he was just like, "Well, right, okay, fine, I'm out." What sort of companies do you think he would be targeting? Would he be targeting things that fall into this basket of brick and mortar sort of retail stores, or would you say he would go more along a digital software tech, something more modern and less physical?
Honestly, I have no idea about that, because you have to consider what they're thinking, what the board is thinking, and they have experience in e-commerce. So likely they're going to choose something in that area, right? Something that's compared to GameStop, not about games and things. It can be, I don't know, towels. It can be anything basically, but it needs to be something that Ryan Cohen or his executives are familiar with. So I doubt that they're going to go with, say, AI. They know nothing about that. They have never built anything like that. They have no experience in that. So I'd say that would be the best option for them to go with e-commerce is the things that they know a lot about.
Good news, everyone. My book about GameStop, the craziest story ever told, is now finished. Well, almost. Still waiting for the final draft. So, in the meantime, I think you should look at pre-ordering it or any one of the multiple fantastic, beautiful t-shirts that I have designed in order to sell with the book. Thank you, everyone, for your patience over the last few years while I have been finishing it very slowly. And I am really, really excited for people to read it. Link is in the description below. Enjoy the podcast.